let's get back to New York 10. 1,000 votes, a little less than, separating Dan Goldman and Yuh-Line Niou.
Yeah, let's check on both campaigns now. First, though, we want to check on Ayanna Harry with the Goldman campaign. We're all listening to Dan Goldman give that speech on, and I know it's probably loud in there, so I hope you can hear me. We heard him give that speech, and at least from what we heard, it almost sounded like a victory speech. You obviously heard the whole thing. What was your take on the speech he gave?
Yeah, Tamsin and Corey, this speech is continuing right now, and it is indeed a victory speech from Dan Goldman. At the very beginning of his remarks, Dan Goldman came out and said they will certainly respect democracy. They will wait for all of the votes to be counted. But Goldman said, based on the information that he has viewed so far, he does believe that he is victorious in this primary race. And so when he walked out on the stage, all of the people behind me began to cheer. Dan Goldman, he thanked some of the local supporters who really believed in his campaign. Dan Goldman, he's never been elected to office before. He went up against several established politicians. So he thanked people like Jackie Rowe Adams of Harlem Mothers Save. He thanked people like Brooklyn Assembly member Robert Carroll. And Dan Goldman said this also goes to show that Donald Trump once again unsuccessfully tried to meddle in an election, because Donald Trump did come out and had some harsh words for Dan Goldman throughout this campaign. But again, Dan Goldman is calling this a victory. He is claiming the victory in the Democratic primary for New York's 10th Congressional District, despite that very slim margin that he currently has in the votes. For now, reporting live from inside Dan Goldman's primary night headquarters, Ayanna Harry, Pix 11 News.
Yeah, really slim margin.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because, you know, as Ayanna is talking about the former President Trump, I just, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about former President Trump and the strategy of claiming victory when you're ahead of votes, but all the votes aren't counted. And I don't know if there's some irony there or not. I'm just, that thought pops into my head. I want to continue the conversation. We want to check in now on the Niou campaign.
Yeah, Katie Corrado.
A very celebratory atmosphere here inside the Niou headquarters, but they are obviously waiting on bated breath for these results to come in, because it is just such a razor-thin race right now. And frankly, this is likely going to come down to mail-in ballots, and we likely will not find out the results of this race tonight. But Assemblymember Yuh-Line Niou did speak just a few minutes ago, and she said that, you know, while we're not at the point that we want to be at with the results, that she will not concede until every vote is counted. She said she knew it was going to be close, and that while she's waiting for the final results, she wants to celebrate the tireless dedication of her staff and supporters. She thanked the Working Families Party. She thanked Cynthia Nixon. Those are two of her big endorsements. So there were 21,000 absentee ballots that were mailed out for District 10. That is an incredibly high number of absentee ballots. 7,000 of them have already been returned to the Board of Elections, but there are still 14,000 absentee ballots that are outstanding that have not been received yet, have not been counted. And that is obviously a much larger number than the margin right now separating Dan Goldman and Yuh-Line Niou. So there is a sense of optimism inside her headquarters, but there is also one of just watching those results so closely to see if she can get that win over Goldman. That is the very latest from the Niou headquarters in Brooklyn Heights. I'm Katie Corrado, Pix 11 News.